Hello and welcome back to my channel. Yesterday the news came out that Alejandro Valverde might skip the Giro d'Italia because of the crash he had shortly before Liège-Bastogne-Liège, which forced him to abandon the race with more than 150 kilometers to go. But yeah, this was reason enough for me to ask this question. Is Alejandro Valverde's career over? Is he finished? Is he done? Or is it maybe just the curse of the rainbow jersey? Does he just have an off year? Because this crash was not the only, at least for his standards, disappointing thing about his season so far. So let's take a deeper look into his season. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Yesterday the news came out that Alejandro Valverde might have to skip the Giro d'Italia because of his crash that he had shortly before Liège-Bastogne-Liège, which forced him to abandon the race with more than 150 kilometers to go. And yeah, this forced me to do this video because it is not the first time this season that he had bad luck. So I want to dive deeper into the question, is his career near the end? Is it over for him? Is he finished? Is it just the curse of the rainbow jersey, which we so often talk about? Does he just have an off year? Or maybe are signs there that he is too old to win races? Let's take a look at it. So he had, at his first race of the season, the Mallorca Challenge, he had in all three races that he took part in a top 10 finish, which at first glance is not a bad result, first outing of the season, and you always get a top 10. But on the first day he got beaten in a sprint by Bauke Mollema, who is not known to be the fastest guy. So yeah, that was quite disappointing, but I said, okay, first race day of the season, no big deal. So then at Valenciana he got beaten by Adam Yates in an uphill sprint, and uphill sprints, Valverde in the past, he got rarely beaten in those, so there it happened. Then at Valenciana, at Murcia, he got pretty destroyed by Astana. On the first day there was a 1-2-3 sweep by Astana. And then on the second stage he got beaten in a sprint by Luis Leon Sanchez, so that race was just Astana, nothing to get there for Valverde. But this was already the third race of the season for the world champion, and not a single victory so far. Then we had the UAE Tour, where he actually had his first win of the season 2019, but also so far, and now we're at the start of May already, and it was his only victory so far. So yeah, then 7th at Sanremo, not a bad result, but let's take a deeper look at who he was beaten by in the sprint of that group. Alaphilippe, Kwiatkowski and Sagan, those three were not a big surprise for me that he was beaten by them. Kwiatkowski and Alaphilippe he can beat on a good day. Sagan not so often. But the other riders, Ollie Naesen, Wout van Aert, and especially Matej Mohoric, because Mohoric was actually the first of the group who launched his sprint because he thought he had Nibali in his wheel, which was not the case, so he thought he had to do a lead out and started the sprint very early, and Valverde could not even overtake him in the end. So again, another sign that his sprint this season has declined, or that he is just not up to it anymore. I don't know how to really say it otherwise. But yeah, then we had Catalunya, a race which he previously dominated in the past. The two editions before that, in 2017 and 2018, were both won by Alejandro Valverde. This time he only got 10th overall in this race, and it was basically the course it always has, a lot of hilly stages that suit a rider of Valverde's characteristics very well. But yet again, not the results he had hoped for, his fans had hoped for. Then we had 2 cobbled classics races for him, and he finished actually in 8th place of the Ronde van Vlaanderen, which gave hope that this could be the turnaround. Now he's hitting the form he needs for the Ardennes. He did not win, but for his first outing at this race, a cobbled monument, it was a very, very good result in 8th place. But then we had the actual Ardennes Classics, and Valverde finished 66th in Amstel Gold Race. Yes, Amstel was never his race to begin with, but still that was a disappointing result. And then we had Flash Wallon, the race he dominated for years. He has won it 5 times in total, record winner of that race. Last year he got 2nd behind Alaphilippe, and this year he finished in 11th place. So yeah, he looked really dead in the last kilometer up to the Muur. He was finished. He said afterwards that with 50 kilometers to go or so, he swallowed a bee that stung him. And yeah, that is a pretty big misfortune, but it happened basically an hour or more than an hour before the finish line, and not like 2 kilometers before the finish. So I think even though this is not optimal for you to happen in a race, it could have been much worse if it happened way later into the race. So the 11th place is not just because of the bee sting, but also another case of he just does not have it anymore. And now then we had the crash, in addition to all those, well, for his standards, mediocre results. We talked about that with Sagan, who also did not have a superb season so far for his standards. And the same goes with Valverde. Lots and lots of other riders would have been happy to have the season both had. But for these 2 riders, the former world champion and the current world champion, both in 2019, they do not achieve their usual results. And that begs the question, why is that? And with Valverde, we have to talk about, well, the curse of the rainbow jersey, now his crash before the Giro d'Italia, another indication of that. But it's not just crashes, it's that he just gets beaten by previously much slower riders in sprints, Luis Leon Sanchez or Bauke Mollema, riders who in the past could never beat Alejandro Valverde in a 2-up sprint. And yeah, now it is his age finally catching up to him. Just shortly before this video, he had his 39th birthday. So yeah, he's at that age where lots of riders have already retired. So it had to happen one day. And another possibility that we talked about in a previous video was also motivation. There I talked about the fact that Valverde for years was chasing the dream of the rainbow jersey, of winning the world championships. He had so many podiums in this race and could not quite finish it off because of different reasons. Sometimes the solo rider was stronger, sometimes it was team tactics, sometimes it was fatigue at the end of the season. But yeah, in 2018 it finally happened. He got that race which suited his characteristics for so long, yet he could never win it. It's not like a race for example, Paris-Roubaix. Valverde has basically no ambition to win that race, but the World Championships he was always a favorite and could never take it, and now he has it. He is 39 and has basically won all the races that he could win. Yes, he never won the Tour de France, but he has a Vuelta a España victory. And now, what is he racing for? All the races he could win are basically just another time winning them, but nothing new. And and with the motivation gone to push yourselves to new limits. We've seen that with, for example, Philippe Gilbert in recent years, who had that Strive for 5 hashtag campaign on Twitter and on Instagram, that he said he wanted to win all 5 monuments. And then he actually pushed himself to win first the Ronde van Vlaanderen, now Paris-Roubaix, and yes, he's also already 36, but I can guarantee you that in the next 1, 2, maybe even 3 years, I don't know how long he's still going, he will give everything he has. At Milano-San Remo, it's the one monument eluding him, and he too will probably then fade away, retire or whatnot, when he has all 5. Because motivation is a big factor. It's not only form, it's not only talent, but it's also how much do you put into those dreams, those goals of yours. And Valverde has achieved so much over the years that maybe now that he is the world champion, the drive is not as strong anymore. I'm not saying he's not motivated, but a few percents are missing. And those few percents could make the difference between the top step of the podium and maybe losing a sprint to Mollema or Luis Leon Sanchez or Matej Mohoric or Adam Yates in an uphill sprint for that matter. All those near losses could explain me that way. Another explanation is that finally age has caught up with him. Like I said, 39. Not a lot of riders ride until that age. Not everyone is a Chris Horner or Rebellin or so who ride into their mid-40s, late 40s even. Rebellin's now I think 47 and retires after the Nationals this season. But yeah, and not everyone can be competitive at that age, for that matter. Like even if some riders, they don't retire, but their results decline after their mid-30s most of the time. And Valverde kept it going until, yeah, basically 38. Now he starts declining at 39, so there is no shame in that. So I want to ask, what is your opinion on that matter? Is it just the rainbow curse? Does he have an off year? Will he come back stronger after he is healed from this crash? Will he come back stronger next year? Or will this decline of his continue? Is his time at the top of cycling over? So yeah, let me know in the comments. That's it for me for now. I'm out.